As a quick introduction, I am one of the co-founders of Activate. We are a newly launched venture fund. We're in fact India's first AI native VC fund. We have a new office. We had an office launch event yesterday. So any of you who are sort of close to Indira Nagar, feel free to sort of Google us up and find one of us and grab some time to sort of jam with us. We are biased towards working with technical founding teams few weeks into their own ideation process. So if you're a developer, you're a technical PM who's thinking about what to build next, and you effectively want to sort of brainstorm on what kinds of companies you want to build, what kinds of technologies are exciting, what kind of market opportunities exist, hit us up. That's where we are actively meeting founding teams, and we'll share a little bit of the perspectives on what we do. And we invest up to $3 million at incorporation stage. So we typically work with founding teams for a few weeks, and as your idea gets more solidified, as your founding teams come together, as you think about the kind of capital you need, we invest up to $3 million, and sort of work with you guys to sort of make the best company that you guys can. That said, we sort of wanted to keep the talk a little bit around physics, economics, and products in AI. And a good chunk of what we will show here are effectively building on the top of the work that a lot of the AI community has actually done. There'll be a few charts that we will reference. Bunch of those might not have been updated to, say, 2026 timelines, but it's a direction to sort of help you think on where the wave of technology is headed. Let's start with the physics. The most interesting part is intelligence is now a commodity that has a deflation rate. You talk about a certain minimum MNLU score, and the cost of that kind of a model keeps dropping by. And it's very fascinating to observe that everyone here tends to benefit by that. As consumers, as builders, as platform people, as investors, all of us are beneficiaries of that. And it's the fastest depreciating asset in the history of technology. The AI costs tend to improve. So the costs tend to get better, and the abilities tend to improve when we apply more compute and more data. The interesting part is, because we apply more compute and more data, we end up finding new frontiers of intelligence and new frontier of capabilities. Our friends here at OpenAI and a bunch of amazing researchers around the world have been working towards this directional trend, something that was documented about 10 years ago called as scaling laws. And it's an empirical observation wherein as you throw more compute and more data, the intelligence ability of the primitive that you get at the end of it tends to improve very predictably. The reason for that is, we believe for the first time in the history of deep learning, I started my deep learning career somewhere around 2016, starting with computer vision models, training CNNs and ResNets. This is for the first time that we see people are applying adaptive compute to specific tasks. Up until then, it was a fixed set of compute flops, either on your GPU or something on the cloud that you sort of apply and solve a problem. But it's the first time in the history of deep learning, we are applying more and more compute to tasks with increasing amounts of complexity, and that tends to sort of get us to interesting sets of behaviors. What does that imply for us? What that implies is, when we think about some of the most frontier research tech problems across domains like science, across domains like research, we think a bunch of those will be solved in the next 5 years. By 2030, we will likely be solving a bunch of those problems. We'll have AI that is autonomously possible and capable to actually attack those problems and find them and find solutions for us, solutions that were probably very hard to imagine as human beings, and that will be an accelerant of human progress. The other interesting part is, I was at AWS between 2018 and 2021. The price depreciation of EC2, when you compare that with the price depreciation of frontier intelligence LLM APIs, tells a picture. LLM costs of a certain frontier capability tend to decline about 100x in a span of 2 years. While for EC2, that was 6x over 5 years. That's the delta we are talking about. It's a net new compute primitive that a lot of people tend to work with, and that gets drastically cheaper very, very quickly. So what does that mean for us as product builders, as developers in the room, as people who sort of build on top of others' technologies? We think it means 3 new capability shifts. everything that is search can effectively be synthesized. Because LLMs understand your intent, because the models are so good at personalizing stuff from you, they tend to retrieve information that is available in the public domain and then present it to you in a form that is extremely personalized for you. The second aspect is the information that exists already becomes an interaction. Think about your code bases. You now no longer have to scroll through a bunch of those and figure out, where were the bugs, what are the unit test cases, where are the code smells. You effectively can query a chatbot on top of your code base and figure out a bunch of those things. Probably even fire off an agent that actually goes and solve those problems. So we think increasingly new swaths of information will suddenly start becoming interactive, and that's an interesting product shift to sort of think about. The next and the final shift that we are all very excited by, which is sort of a very recent capability in the last 12 months, is navigation on the internet becomes delegation. So there's an agent. All of us will have agents that we will actually trust to sort of browse the web, browse our computers, browse our mobile phones, and do stuff for us. So we'll increasingly start new product capabilities that will come up where delegation becomes a first-class citizen of how we interact with technology. And we are very excited by what kinds of company formation opportunities and product building capabilities that sort of enables to everyone in the room. Let's talk about the new primitives needed to build some of these capabilities that we talked about, and what all we can sort of expect from folks like OpenAI, who sort of open up the floor to everyone in the room to sort of try and build some of those actions, say, later half in the day. We think the majority set of experiences in the future will largely be synthesis or delegation. So every single computer interaction that we have as human beings can either be thought of as some combination between the two on a slider. It's part synthesis, part delegation, and we think that sort of defines what kinds of companies, what kinds of products, what kind of capabilities sort of come up. All of it will be agent mediated. All of us will have an agent. Everything that we interact with on the other side will also have an agent. So agents will actually talk to agents. Imagine sort of delegating an agent to go and shop something on Amazon for you, place an e-cart order. Imagine the order actually has some sort of a delivery inconsistency, and your agent effectively talking with Amazon's customer support agent to actually delegate that problem. So human beings will stop wondering about these messy details in the product experiences and start delegating a lot of that to the agents. That's the kind of world that we envision, and that's very exciting. We think that the new internet experiences and everything that we talked about from a product capability standpoint requires a new stack for everyone in the room as developers to sort of build on top of. We think about some 5 layers that we have some hazy ideas on. The first one being identity. In the human internet, we had OAuth and SSO. What does that mean in the age of AI agents? We don't know. Our answer tends to be like agent orchestration, capability passports, some sort of handshake mechanisms are probably that part. We also think about data. In the internet world, we sort of used to rely a lot on databases and REST APIs. What does that stack look like in the age of agents? Is it MCP? Is it something else? We think about payments. When we thought about payments, and we'll hear from Killen subsequently, when we talked about payments in the past years, it meant Stripe and PayPal and the kinds of companies like Razorpay sort of came up. What does that capability sort of look like when we think about agents actually doing tasks on our behalf, agents actually shopping on our behalf, agents actually finishing knowledge work on our behalf? Hosting. The best company in the last 10 years of the internet was probably AWS before the entire thing happened, and they were effectively a hosting business. Before the company actually proved that hosting can actually be a great business at scale, everybody thought hosting and computers basically a commodity business, and hence stayed away from that. Right? So what does that look like in the age of AI? Where would agents be hosted? How would you dynamically provision compute for agents to actually go about executing tasks? Those are very interesting questions to sort of think about. And the final is discovery. People today go to a Google Play Store or an iOS App Store to actually discover net new apps. Apps effectively act as utility tools for us to get our things done. What does that look like in the agent world? How does an agent discover another agent? Are we figuring out enough primitives to make that reliable as a part of the consumer and the knowledge worker experience? We don't know. So basically, a bunch of those things that we covered up until now are provocative thoughts on where the world is headed. There are 3 questions that we can't answer alone. That's where we request everyone in the room to sort of chime in with their opinion. Is India and the developers in India, are they converging on one stack, or the stack looks fragmented today? We have some views, we have some data points, but we'd love to hear from more of you and actually sort of share what the general consensus is. When we think about the non-technical blockers for enterprises and consumers to adopt AI, what are those? Is it because we probably don't like to bypass shadow IT? Is it because the API calls are expensive? Is it because the pricing of a bunch of these coding agents, etc., is not in INR and in dollars, which tends to be more expensive for most of the people in the room? We don't know. Again, something we'd love to hear from everybody else. And what are builders actively deprecating? We talk a lot about where the technology is headed and how fast the curves are. But if you survey 20 developers, I think 19 of them will tell you that the tool stacks also keep changing every 3 to 6 months. Why is that happening? Is it because the net new capabilities are better? Is it because the past capabilities no longer work? Is it because the model caught up with the tools layer, so you don't probably have a lot of requirements to do a lot of scaffolding and build harnesses? So again, it's something we'd love to hear. We're compiling all of this in a survey, which will be shared with everybody who sort of contributes and everybody who sort of signed up for the event. We're calling it How India Builds AI. We've gotten a lot of responses so far. Please feel free to scan the QR code. It's probably not going to take you more than 2-3 minutes to fill it up. And the people who sort of submit and contribute actively get a chance to sort of talk to our team members, figure out some areas where you could actually give some more inputs beyond the survey and help us shape the outcome of the report, which would be shared shortly with everybody. That's about it. Again, concluding, we are Activate. We are India's first native AI VC firm. We're super excited by the energy that we are sensing in this room for the entire day. And for everyone here who thinks that they are probably in the process of thinking about founding a company in the next few months, please hit us up. Everyone from the Activate team is wearing an Activate merch. So it's very easy to sort of discover who we are and where we are. Feel free to grab us, take us on the side and sort of brainstorm with us. And we would love to sort of see how we can activate you. Thank you.